let's switch over and let's break down how to submit to the Music Mondays podcast in 2025. So, um, I'll just give you the short version, but curating submissions has always been an interesting thing, right? Um, I've been making music since 2017, and I've been in the underground media space since probably about 2018, right? So give or take like 7 or 8 years. Curating submissions has always been really hard because you want to make it as easy as possible for people to just get you their music, right? And whether that's through email or DM or comments or anything like that, there's a lot of ways that you could go about it, but this is the way that I've always been successful with it, and this is pretty much where we landed with this. So, per usual, we do collect submissions on Twitter, and we've been collecting submissions on Twitter since 2021. So this is prior to all the social media explosions and things like that. So, and even prior to Music Mondays, I've been curating SoundCloud playlists on there or other media platforms for quite some time. So Twitter was like always the home base for us when it came to the underground community, right? So we run Twitter. We always have ran Twitter. Gamers, creatives, artists, vocalists, graphic designers, like all the creatives will always run Twitter. It's never been like a political platform that it is now. You know what I mean? So we tend to really just distance ourselves from that. Because let's face it, a lot of these social platforms are just owned by um, complete fucking, narcissists. So there's really no getting around it. And, it's important for artists to kind of get themselves out there. So this is like one of the ways that we decided to do it, right? Especially back in 2021. But per usual, we do take submissions on Twitter. So again, we are a live show. We like to keep things a little free flow. So that's why we don't really bounce around to emails or DMs or anything like that. We like to have all of our submissions here right in front of us, right? So as long as you're dropping your submissions under this tweet every single week, you're pretty much good to go. Because again, the logic being behind that is not only are we a live show and we don't want to be pulling up other tabs and opening up emails and downloading files and doing all this other shit, because it makes the show a little bit harder to watch back and people kind of lose interest really quickly, right? So we tend to like do all of our submissions back to back to back and try to get to them in a timely manner. You know what I mean? So having a thread of them is like fantastic. So it's not really like Twitter being the platform, it's Twitter's tools that really help us collect submissions in an efficient way, right? Because if we try to collect them in Instagram DMs, that kind of gets sketchy just because the DMs start breaking. You know what I mean? Like we have to open DMs. Once you start getting past like 50 to 100 DMs, the whole platform starts to break. So Instagram isn't really too reliable. Not a lot of underground artists use Reddit. So Instagram and Reddit are kind of out when it comes to curating submissions. The Discord way of doing it is okay. That's all right. But we're not really growing Music Money's platforms when we collect submissions on Discord, right? So the idea being that Music Mondays gets to show face and collect submissions publicly, and we don't need to like force people to jump through hoops to get their submissions in, right? All you do is follow Music Mondays, drop your link, you'll be good to go. So that was really the thought process behind it, was wanting to make it as easy as possible. And especially when we started this, Blue Sky wasn't a thing, Threads wasn't a thing. Blue Sky kind of looks promising, but again, it's still pretty dead over there. And Threads is kind of just like engagement bait. So it's kind of hard to like fully switch platforms, like not only based on the fact that we already have a community here on Twitter, but a lot of the platforms don't have the tools that make it easy for us to run a live show. Because like I said, opening other tabs and going through DMs and emails and all that other shit for submissions specifically tends to make the show go on a little bit longer. And again, people start to lose interest. You're trying to log in emails, you're trying to download files. Oh, this file won't play, things like that. So it's just easier for everybody to kind of drop their links on a Twitter thread, whether it be an unreleased link, right? Or you could do an unlisted YouTube video. Recently, we've had people start dropping files, right? So, you could really submit in any fashion, but that's kind of like the thought process behind that, and that's why we do take submissions on Twitter. Because like I said, we've ran the underground on Twitter for close to 7 years, at least me personally. So this has always been our go-to. But outside of that, That's pretty much the lore behind Music Mondays and how we take submissions for the show. And mostly, I think the number one reason for it is it keeps the show free flow, right? We're able to kind of run through submissions in a timely manner, like I said, and kind of um, give everybody a fair shake, but also kind of get to each submission quickly. So that's super, super important, and it makes the show a little bit more palatable to watch back, definitely. So outside of that, um, the only thing you do really need to know is that submissions are in the same format every single week. You guys know the drill that are always watching Music Mondays, but again, if you're new here, submissions will always be in this format you see on the screen here. And if you're listening on audio platforms, the tweets will always read. Artist and creative submissions are open for live reviews on Music Mondays, live on February 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Zomb Plays, which is here and now. So again, the only thing that changes about this format is the date. So again, make sure you're submitting for a show that has not happened yet, and you'll be good to go. Outside of that, per usual, we've reacted to pretty much everything here on the show. So if you'd like to submit your music, artwork, fashion, or digital creation, drop your links and portfolios below. So quite literally everything from vocals to music videos to digital art to photography to videography to YouTube edits to instrumentals to unreleased tracks, we've pretty much reacted to everything, even merch. So if you have something that you'd like to showcase on the show, definitely drop your links below, because we definitely, want to collect submissions of all kinds, right? Because again, the thought process behind that being, most underground creatives are multi-talented. A lot of editors are also producers. A lot of producers are also designers. A lot of designers are also vocalists. You know what I mean? So a lot of these skills go hand in hand. So we wanted to make sure that we give everybody a fair chance. And of course, we do have a 4-hour show limit, just to make the show a little bit easier to watch back for some people, right? I mean, again, one could argue that a 3 or 4 hour show is kind of long to watch back, but opposed to the earlier shows where, I just didn't have a limit and I just said, fuck it. We were doing like 6-7 hour shows back in like 2022, you know what I mean? So, that obviously wasn't going to work out, especially with the platform growing and me needing to attend to other pieces of content. It just didn't make sense to have a show that long every single week. Because like I said, we are one of the only live shows here on Twitch every single Monday that kind of does this, you know what I mean? So just to take the pressure off of us, and of course just to make the show a little bit easier to watch back, that's kind of the thought process behind that. Outside of that, per usual, Patreon subscriber submissions are played first every single week here on the show. So again, there aren't many perks when it comes to the Music Mondays podcast over there on the Patreon. There's a ton of other goodies when it comes down to promo and media and things that you get over there on Patreon. But one of the main things is the Music Mondays Fast Pass, which again, that was created in like 2023 or so, when we started to get a lot of submissions, upwards of like 40 submissions. We ran into an issue where, sometimes we just couldn't get to every single person's submission. And some people didn't really care about it, and then some people were like, fuck, you didn't get to, my submission. And we wanted to give them a way to, like, guarantee that their submission gets played for those that want it. You know what I mean? Because some people, they'll just submit next week, and they're like, I don't give a fuck. And some people are like, shit, I really wanted you to hear that. So, again, that's a way for your submissions to be guaranteed to be played here on the show, but, of course, you'll be played before the rest of the community as well. So keep that in mind. Patreon subscriber submissions are played first every single week here on the show. But I think the most important part about this, per usual, is submissions are free. They always have been free. They always will be free, and they're going to continue to be free forever. But the only thing that we do ask is that you're following Music Mondays on Twitter before you do submit. Because like I said, not only does that help us spread our message, right, and show us support, but you pay respect to everybody else that does wait for their submissions to be reacted to every single week here on the show. So I think that's something very, very important. And of course, submissions are always free. So that's the only thing that we do ask is that you're following Music Mondays on Twitter before you do submit. Outside of that, I think the last major thing is that submissions do close about a couple hours before the show starts. So again, a good rule of thumb is that if the show is live, submissions are definitely closed. But again, you do have about 6 days a week to get your submissions in, because submissions open every single Tuesday. So again, if you're watching the show here live tonight, submissions for episode 213 will be live tomorrow on February 11th. And of course, if you're watching this anywhere else, submissions are already live for the next show. So definitely drop your links and check the date. Outside of that, that's pretty much everything you need to know. I gave a relatively short breakdown, but this will definitely be uploaded on the YouTube channel, just as a little background. And we get to update the site as well, because the how to submit to the Music Mondays podcast guide is available on the Music Mondays website right now, where we kind of break it down for 2024. But now I just broke it down for 2025. So again, definitely go check that out on the channel. And of course, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and all that good jazz. This will be updated on the Music Mondays website as well. But per usual, make sure you subscribe. New videos every Thursday, every Saturday. Full podcast episodes, exclusive segments just like this one, underground tips and tricks, and a whole lot of good jazz over there, man. So make sure you go show these artists and the channel some love. Let's get it. Well done, man.